Welcome back to Freedom to Learn podcast. My name is Gurumurthy Yeleswarapu, and I'm founder and CEO of Siliconvalley4u. And so this content is created mainly to impact youth, to make them understand career paths and also their priorities. And so, with that said, it's useful for a lot of parents who has kids, as well as teenagers and above, who are looking to, conquer the world. So, with that said, please press on the like button and subscribe, and you get more of this content your way. Today, we have extremely special guest, Dr. Romesh Japra, who is very one of the bigger names in Bay Area, San Francisco, and also to some extent nationwide. By profession, he is a medical doctor, cardiologist, but he's a lot, instrumental in a lot of things that outside of medicine. I know some of them, but this probably we need another podcast just to go over all the things he does. He launched August 15th parade since 1993 in Bay Area, and he founded Fremont Temple, and he's there pretty much every day. And also under fog, he's instrumental in conducting a lot of events. He also sponsors a lot of politicians around United States. So like I said, I can go on and on, but I'm going to let him speak about all those, and then me speaking for him. So with that, welcome, Mr. Japra.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here, Guru.
Yep. So let's talk for starters, right? I know we all came from India, different parts of India. I know you came much sooner than we all did, and speak about your childhood and what you did in India, how and what prompted you to come to United States.
Absolutely, Guru. Like I said, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Back in India, basically, I grew up there until I became a doctor there, an MD. Went to All India Institute of Medical Sciences, got my medical degree. Before that, of course, the usual high school, primary school, and everything. Grew up in a very small village where there were only 400 people in a very small town. Didn't know anything about America or even for that matter, medicine. My mother was a teacher. Grew up playing soccer and studying. Fortunately, I was able to have a pre-medical done at Jalandhar and got lucky and got into All India Institute of Medical Sciences, which is one of the premier institutes all over Asia. And it's like a lottery system basically. The 35 people, they grill you, and then you go through the whole thing out of 250,000 people. So once I got selected, got my degree, came over to United States. So I was just 22 years old. Came to United States of America. Did my training in New York at Mount Sinai Hospital. Then went to Cleveland Clinic, did my cardiology training. And since then, I've been in California, right here in Silicon Valley in the Bay Area, practicing cardiology.
Fantastic. So, I mean, I am pretty sure a lot of people still don't know and may be curious to know. A lot of us, right? We all, I'm in the tech industry, you're in the medicine industry, and those are the main professions that were bringing a lot of Indians to United States back in the day. It continue to be the case, but most of us will settle in those areas and do something, either big or small, and then retire. So what prompted you to choose all these thousands of activities that you do? With all due, I mean, when I say, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I'm not. What prompted you to sidestep from your main profession, which is medicine, and say, okay, you know what, I got to take care of all these things, and I got to run this. I need to do this August 15th parade, which is very successful for, I forget now, 30 some years. And then you launch this Fremont Temple, all these different initiatives. I know these are all fairy tale stories to read in the books, but what for you when you came here early on, and what motivated you? How you drew so much energy to do these things? What was driving force?
Well, it's a probably long story, and there's no short answer to that. It's fortunately, my mother was a teacher, and she was a great giver. Even when I was in medical school, I used to come back home in a small town, and she'll have 50 people sitting outside in the street. We had a very small home, and she said you got to check them out before you get your breakfast. So it's been basically learning to give it to others, taking care of other people, and in Vedas and Shastras, it's written that you got to take care of yourself first. Development of as an individual is very important. Do as much as you can, educate yourself, make yourself as healthy as you can, and become a good person. You got to start helping your family, then go to the extended family, and the ultimate thing is helping the needy people and the people, poor people, or do the community service. And that is the theory of karma, which I think many of us believe in. If you do good deeds, noble deeds, you're going to be rewarded, whether it's an immediate thing or during this life or during even next life. So even all the great things and good things I did and I got, whether it's an American dream or coming all over here, uh, having good health, good wealth, prosperity, happiness, it's all because of the karmas we maybe I did in the previous year or earlier this year and in this life. So we gotta continue to do that. And I sort of, it's very easy to say that to become a karma yogi, we call them, but sometimes difficult to bring it into practice. So most of the people don't bring into practice. And I fortunately, when I came to California, there was a need for a temple where we could worship, where we could do some prayers, and we could not get a temple. The mayor was my patient. He said, "Okay, we'll get you one. Buy this church," because we could not get a permit anywhere. Indiana Jones was there. The hippie movement was there, and all these youngsters they were becoming hippies, and they thought we are here to convert the Christians into Hindus, so they were not giving us a permit. And I was sort of instrumental. We got a church, converted into a temple, got the loan, have my house collateral. So it's a long story, but it sort of gave me a little bit in to do the community work. And I decided, okay, I'm going to do one third time into community service, one third my profession, and one third for the family. And I've tried to keep that balance throughout my career. And since then, starting from religious empowerment and spiritual empowerment, I thought the cultural empowerment was very important for our children, for the youngsters who are growing. So we started doing festivals, festival of lights, festival of colors, and then even Independence Day celebration of democracy. So in '93, as you mentioned, we started doing India with Day Parade, the Indian festival, which, first year we had only 5,000 people. Now we got more than 100,000 people. And I've been fortunate to serve as a convener, as a chairman, and we've been hosting it year after year. It's been growing great. And more recently, we think many of our people need to develop a different career other than medicine and IT and research and a scientist, because many of our kids really don't like to go into political arena. And I sort of got motivated to attract more youngsters to do that. So that's the latest initiative I have.
Yeah. I know we are going to talk about that in a minute. So before we get into it, right? So I mean, because you have seen it all basically for longest period of time. So by the way, I remember '93 because that's the year I landed in US.
Yeah.
So so when kids are coming out of their academics, I would say maybe whatever that is, PhDs, masters, bachelors, whatnot, or high school dropout, it doesn't matter. Um, when they when you now that you saw everything of academics, and also you've been very successful in academics too, when you see all these things, when a kid is coming out, what would you suggest them to do in order to really understand what really matters? And a lot of things, I guess, in other words, if they do understand what matters, hopefully they focus more on that and less on things that less relevant. And many times a lot of kids, they get confused, and that's the reason some of them, they end up on doing something that they are not interested in, or not good at, and they lose time, and hopefully they take U-turn. If they don't, they lead a very mediocre careers, right? So my question to you is, because there is a gap between real world and academics, what's your suggestion to mitigate that for a young kid who is coming out right now?
No, I think that's a great question and very difficult to sometime bring into practice. So there's another theory besides our karma, theory of karma and karma yogi. The second one, which we have to learn about, is self-realization. Self-realization is again a very tough thing to do, but in this case, it'll apply, in a more simpler way, that you gotta look into yourself and see what your talents are, what motivates you, what makes you happy, what makes you, where you get the kick, and so every person has it in there. Some people want to be a music or become a singer, become an athlete, become an actor, become a doctor, become an IT engineer. A lot of kids have those dreams. They have some of these role models, and but at the same time, everybody can become an actor or an athlete or these big careers. So you gotta, that's what I call looking inside within yourself and what your really talent is, what you feel a lot more confident in. And then people around you, besides your parents, your teachers, your friends, and some of the people who have watched you growing and who have your welfare at heart. I think talking to each one of them, not just one person or two-person, as many as you can around you, and talking exactly what you should be doing, what did you think as a student my talent is, where I will excel. I think that becomes a huge thing. And once you have analyzed that thing, then, of course, depending upon your situation, financial situation, other situation, what you can do, what you cannot do, and then everybody can become a doctor because you need financial help, you need scholarships, so you, of course, have to be good grades and all those kind of things. So everything's going to matter. So that is, and that analysis is very, very important. And then, of course, it doesn't mean that if you got into one career, like you become an IT and you done a lot of other things besides being an IT person, and that is a myth. Sometime even as a medical doctor, as you mentioned, that I've done many other things besides that. Besides running a temple, which for 41 years I've been a chairman, president, and then I ran this Festival of Globe, Festival of India, the parade for the last 32 years. I've been doing this, political organization for almost 4 years. I run a newspaper, India Post, for the almost 33 years now. It's an international newspaper, and so there's a time management and other things which we'll talk about later on. But your first question, at that moment, I think that is a key thing, and thinking that okay, oh, people get a lot of scared that if I become a IT professional, that's all I'll be coding all day, the this and that. So there's nothing else I can do. But that's not true. So they need to get exposed to people like you, or to some extent, some of the other people who are good mentors who can tell them, who will give them, good suggestions and good advice.
Yeah. No, so the reason I'm saying is that, world has evolved. I know you have seen everything. I mean, you were telling me on the other day there was you were in the newspaper times. So now, what are we talking about? Like Instagram, what is it? TikTok, and God knows what it is going to be. AI, now Gen AI, God knows. Um, I guess the whole world is evolved to where things are moving really fast, and sometimes, in 5 years time, probably don't have to drive. Um, schools are still, like you said, at least I remember, my for me, they told me learn programming and you become a programmer, and that's the end of it. Then after that, don't worry about it. That's all I knew, and I kept applying for jobs. Luckily, I got a job. I came to US, yada yada. But then realized at some point that yes, yeah, that's sort of important for certain pathways in the career. But just that alone is not going to take you to the promised land, or may not, depending on your interest. And so that's when I started looking around, but I lost 7 8 years of my life figuring out, because I had no mentor. I didn't know what I didn't know. But fast forward 30 years, with all due respect, I visited 30 schools in India. More or less, they're in the same boat. Although they are all on Instagram, by the way. But they are all Instagram checking out some Bollywood movies or something, and some of them don't even know where Silicon Valley is. So it's just sad that I'm not blaming them. I don't think it's the problem with the individual. It's just a problem with the process, the system out there. Um, yeah, so you're absolutely right that identifying that is important, but sometimes they don't even know that they have to identify. For those who know they have to identify, they struggle to identify. And in both the cases, it might cost a lot of time, and at the expense of paychecks sometimes. Um, so now, like you said, there is a finite set of things. There are 3 4 items, the most especially coming from India, or even in US in some cases. There are only 5 6 buckets total where people look for, like tech, medicine, and entrepreneurship, some kind of business, or I don't know, like maybe 10 15. But like you said, you know people, I guess, stumble upon getting into politics. Maybe they're because of family structure. Some of the folks, I know some of them, they are into some level of politics because their families back in India, they belong to politics. Or there are a few that just had the affinity towards doing going into politics. Those are all born with it, I guess. But there is no very few people are taking this as a mainstream career today, especially folks from India. So I think it must start with youth, in my humble opinion. It's okay if you start when you're 30s, 40s, 50s, not a problem. But sooner you do, better it is, because the world needs the younger generation, younger folks. And we don't want 80-year-old guy running the country, with all due respect to you, sir. But point is that uh, now that you have this initiative, you can detail that a lot more. But before you get into it, right, what's your motivation and how do you see this going? What's your vision for empowering youth and empowering youth into politics as a career?
Yeah, so selecting a career is one thing, but our major objective was, our mission is that in our community, most of the people go for these, very elite professions, like you said, the IT professional or entrepreneur or businessman or doctor, researcher. So very few people think about political arena as a career. uh, at the same time, there's a need for this kind of involvement and engagement. Like you mentioned, later in life, after you retire, some people think about that even as a parallel career. Sometimes even doctors, IT, lawyers, journalists, and all these people, they think about political career as a parallel career. And if they succeed, fine. If they don't succeed, they'll continue with their own career. So that's one thing. But if you need to really contribute in this arena, then the earlier you start, the better it is, because you're going to learn a lot at an early stage. That is a time when it's a learning curve, and you learn a lot faster. And there are a lot of roadblocks, stumbles, challenges. Which you're going to be facing in the beginning, a lot of defeats and victories and things like that. So it's good if people can afford to get into it earlier. Of course, if somebody is really looking for a paycheck, then it sometimes becomes a difficult thing for those kind of people to get into this, and they've got to make sure there's a good backup for something like this. And again, one of the qualities they have to look at their own, we have to realize within self, the self realization or is again very, very important. You have to be a good leader. Some people are born leaders, even when they're schools and others. Some people have the leadership qualities, then they lead, and they know that they want to get into it, whether it's debates, whether it's leading a whole bunch of your class. So if those are the kind of people we would love to get into politics, and who have a good background, and they want to serve, serve the community, serve the society, that you have to have at heart. If people are only looking for making good money, getting wealthy, and having great luxuries and luxurious life, it's a different story. They are not the ones who are going to get into this period, especially at a young age. They may get into it later on, and with the kind of corruption and some of these politicians have, they think they can get wealthy that way also. But that's not the objective we have. So we want the kids who have good leadership qualities. We'll let them develop it. We do the workshops and hold their hands with the stipends, internships, and things like that. And we want them to be the policy makers. There's a saying that you got to be on the table if you want to be making policies. Otherwise, you're going to be on the menu. See, if you're not policymaker, somebody else is making policies for you, and you're going to be on the menu, and the people are going to eat you
You'll
up.
be eaten.
Whatever is left
Yeah.
goes in the garbage. So, so it's important that good people, intelligent people, honest people, they get into politics.
So yeah, I mean, the word you use, leadership, is that's something a lot of, especially for youth or otherwise too. There are a lot of workshops how to develop your leadership skills, and I always wonder how is that possible within a week? How can you become a leader? I mean, how do you learn? I mean, you can read, you can read about biographies. You get a sense of how they led, their own way, and leadership is not defined in one certain way, or there is no formula behind it. Um, I know you are a leader, very clear. People see it, but I don't know if anybody can fully understand how your style of leadership. And there are quite a few. You can have millions of styles, billions of styles. But what at the end, like you were saying, some of them, I just wanted to ask you again, as a leader, what should be your mindset? What should be, your deliverable in terms of serving these people or leading these people rather, and what the other people should perceive you as when you are leading these guys. And so, by example, when you lead, they automatically consider you as a leader. You don't have to tell them that I'm the leader, right? Nobody, I guess nobody says that. Maybe they do in some cases. In corporate world they do. um, um, can you talk more about at least in your case, how you see this whole leadership role is, and what is expected out of you.
Well, absolutely. Just as you mentioned, there are a lot of courses, a lot of other things where they teach you all these qualities of being a leader, and then leadership in almost every field. You need the leadership. It's a corporation out there, a hospital, or anything else, and same thing is in the political arena. In my book, the good leader is a team player. See, if you as an individual who may be great, have great credentials, PhDs, and everything else, but if he's an introvert and cannot express and cannot build a team and cannot trust the team, and he's going to keep doing things by himself as one person. A good leader is who can make a lot more leaders. If I have 11 people in my team, I want to make sure each the 10 of those people besides me can also become leaders tomorrow. If I work with them to make leaders, then you're a good leader.
Yeah.
If you're trying to only have them follow you and try to control them, try to do those things, that is not a good leader. He could still probably do it in a different ways, because if he has economic power and other powers, or from being as a strong guy, and the other guys are very weak, and then you're building a team that way. So there are different ways, but those are not good leadership qualities. Like I said, the good quality, and of course, you have to be an expert, you have to be a good debater, you have to be able to express yourself, you have to think on the spot and be very intuitive. So those are the kind of things which make you a good leader. And creativity, innovation, collaboration, and all these qualities. And many of them people can remind you, they can probably put it in you. So there is some merit to going to these courses, developing, and they put them together and see who can be a good leader, work with 4 people, 5 people, and try to see what qualities they have. And then sometimes, like I said, they're born leaders, but then you can acquire them also. There's nothing like that. You have to be born and to become a leader. So there's always mentorship, acquisitions, and one can acquire many of these qualities if you're a good learner and willing to learn.
Yeah. No, I think well said, sir. So I like the line that you used. If there are 11 people, all 10 should be leaders one day. And in the corporate world where I come from, you also, meaning like in your hospitals, and there are managers, like you said, those they just manage and get the work done somehow. So that um, but so with this, so now, I mean, you also mentioned something about, today, if somebody wants to pursue this as a career, they have to have they have to be financial, they need a financial stability, or some kind of a fallback plan in order for them to pursue this as a main career. How do you, I mean, what do you see, what do you like to see, for somebody, some guy who just graduated from school, college, whatever, to take this as a career and get paid as, like just like any other job, as a paycheck, and then grow into a politician, and then lead the, so what what kind of structure you like to see, especially in this country, to take this as a, regular any other degree, and then hey, I want to be politician, I want to be engineer, I want to be doctor, I want to be politician, I'll just go and join as a politician, I get paid, I have salary until I make it. And once I make it, obviously, you're an executive, you don't get paid, you just, you know how to make money yourself. So, how why is it not there, first of all? And if it should, then um what's your vision of that?
Yeah, so I'll give you a small example. This last summer we had about 6 classes, like workshops type of classes, where we recruited about 60 kids, and we sort of basically did these workshops, got these elected leaders come and talk to them, and we also told them a little bit about how the campaigns run and how. So these leaders told them why they should get involved, engaged into political arena, what is there for them, who gets in there, and once you are there, what are the struggles you have to go through. So, and who those who are successful, those who are not successful. So, one girl here was 18 years old, just passed the high school, and
Right.
she got a admission in University of Michigan. Very high grade, talented girl, but she got so fascinated and motivated, inspired to go into political arena. So rather than going to Michigan, she went to the community college, took some courses, and ran for the school board, Fremont Unified District School Board, where the millions of dollars in the budget, and you sit in the board and make those decisions where that money should go in the schools, in the classes, to the teachers, or whether whichever way and what courses they should teach in the schools, things like that. And she won. She won by just 31 votes, but she won. I mean, she was so motivated and learned exactly how to campaign, how to do all those things. So, how to get the support, how to get endorsements from different leaders. So, all these things you learn through the workshops, and then bring them into practice, put them to action, and then you can win. So that's one way, and then in parallel you'll take some courses, go to community college, exactly whether eventually she's going to become an economist or a lawyer or a journalist or even IT for that matter. You can switch. But this is what I would like to see, because she doesn't have the same financial background. The parents are not going to keep giving her money all the time, so she'll have to make some money. And many of these positions on the school boards or city councils and others, they don't pay that much money for you. I mean, some of them pay to get by, but not to somebody who's really good,
Yeah.
intelligent, who could make a lot more money in any of these careers. So they're not going to be satisfied with that kind of reimbursement. So then you have to do something in parallel. So I think that is probably one way to do it. Otherwise, like you said, in some of the politicians' kids and others, and they have enough money or they're into business and they have a lot of wealth, the Kennedys of the world and Rockefellers of the world, and then their kids, they have enough
Crumbs of the
trust,
world now.
trust money, and then they can run, even the 20s. So that's a different thing. So that's the way sort of I look at it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. But what I'm trying to say is that, at some point, it should become like a mainstream job until they become, bona fide politicians. And then, maybe they do small time work for all these government organizations under the, political, the political domain, whatever, or career path. And then it's once, like, for instance, this girl, first of all, amazing story, congratulations to her, at 18, making a decision. So understanding that the word decision takes 20 years, and then she has to make a decision for a big city, one of the large cities in Northern California, and for such a large amount, it's just crazy. And kudos to her. And like, yeah, like you said, hopefully she does well, and she'll continue to build on top of what she has been she has accomplished so far. But so now, with that said, for for those folks that are not like her, and also not wealthy like the other folks. So then, what's your alternative? Like, obviously, they end up doing some job, doctors, tech mostly, and maybe some other businesses. While they are doing all that, right? Many times, what happens is once you get into a certain career path, you're kind of consumed into it, and your mindsets change, and also your career goals change at times, and then you kind of step away from this whole original your passion to become politician. And some people can retain that, but not many, and they end up doing something else. There are quite a few, right? I wanted to be a doctor, I ended up being blah blah, or vice versa. um, so in order, so what kind of outlets out there in US for somebody who wants to be a politician in the long run but end up doing something else for obvious reasons, and to engage himself or herself into these and then keep it going until they get enough financial freedom to switch over?
Well, again, it will depend upon the interest, your exposure. Like you said, this girl attended those workshops and got motivated. So there are a lot of doctors, a lot of engineers, lawyers. Of course, there are a lot of lawyers who become politicians, so they do run. I know some of the doctors who even give up their profession because they got so fascinated by uh, political arena itself. The kind of interest they develop, then they'll give up even their professions. So if you want to be most of them are lawyers and journalists and those kind of people who go into civic service or public service as employees first, and then they go into politics. They'll work for one of the politicians or then become the campaign manager and things like that, and then they'll okay, now I can run once they feel comfortable with it. But like I said, there's no clear cut that right at 18 to become like what the example I gave you. Very few people, and
Very
they
rare.
will also
Yeah.
learn on the side, and they have to decide that okay, I'm not going to become a doctor now because I have so much time I'm giving in here, or engineer. And but some people have the bandwidth and they're confident enough, and you have some friends, people like Gopi, who can do three things at a time, and they probably may do it. So some people underestimate themselves. Like you said, they get so consumed and they think, oh my, this is the only thing I can do, and I'm getting tired just by doing one job and one profession. How I can do more than one or two or three. But there are people out there who are multi-talented, have a lot of bandwidth, can do a lot of things, and those are people should still think about it because this is the need of the hour, and then good people, intelligent people need to get into politics.
Yeah. Well said, sir. I mean, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. But again, we are at the tail end of this particular podcast. We'll do it again, the sequel, where we focus mainly on all your activities, just those, not less about you and more about your focus. But the extraordinary accomplishments so far, and everything you have done. I mean, the body of work is just incredible. And if I look back for the last 30 some years, um, I sincerely hope that whoever is watching this will take some pointers from this podcast, from what you said, and then maybe do a little bit more research on you. And if necessary, they can reach out to you, or they can reach out to me, or they can just do a research on their own and figure out what to do for their own lives to take this to the next level, and make all these folks that are not very clear on what to do when they finish. See, the key thing is when you invest 20 years of your life in something called education, you come out of education and say, I'm not sure what to do. That's a very, very, very sad investment for a very long time with a lot of money, a lot of emotion, your parents' health, and then your own time is gone or invested into it. You still don't have any clarity on what to do. I mean, that's a long time. It's not like 6 months you invested, you're not sure. 20 some years, and the best years of your life, relatively speaking. Maybe, 25, 26, 27, 28. After 30, anyway, it's all, more better than me. So this is incredible. And so I asked this last fun question just to wrap it up. This nothing to the topic. So because we are technology guys, myself included, so what is that one technology you wish you had that makes your life easier every day? If it can be something like, something in fantasy. I can give an example for me. If I can go to India in 2 hours, so I would enjoy doing that. I mean, why? See, it's been 30 years since I got here. Same same amount of time. A little here and there, some changes with electronics inside. Maybe the layover is a little less. Other than that, same thing, and nothing changed. Everything changed. My cars are driving by themselves. Everything changed. So these aeroplanes, nobody's working on them. So that's me. But do you have anything that keeps bothering you? That man, I wish I had this.
Well, like my profession is cardiology as a doctor, and my fancy would be, at this stage we still really don't understand. I don't know. Nobody can tell the percentage because we don't know the whole sum. Whether we know 5% of medicine or 50%, or there are so many disciplines, and if artificial intelligence or your quantum physics and all these new technologies can make people healthy, remain young, not age, and be energetic, youthful, be
Yes,
able to pursue all their fantasies. What you're talking about, I think that'll be a greatest thing in this world, and I'll be the happiest person to see that. Everybody happy and youthful, and we don't have to go through all these surgeries and medicines and pharmacies
yep,
and all the crap which is happening. So that'll be my part. And I'm hoping that all these new technologies are definitely going to play a major role
major role.
in accomplishing that.
Thank you, sir. I wish I touched up on that topic. Maybe in the next one we'll do. You being a cardiologist, I am obsessed with those things. I try to do for myself as much as I can. But I hear you, and I see it's almost a huge problem around us. And we have, I mean, we all don't, nobody, I mean, you guys understand, from people who are outside medicine, whole thing is rocket science. I'll give you a simple example. I get my physical. I don't know what it's saying. I, when I come to know, not me, I mean, whoever come to know more about a particular reading, when that reading is bad.
I know.
If it is good, I don't know what that is. If it is bad, then you start googling it. Oh, LDL, HDL, blah blah. So this that, and God knows. And half the things I speak for all the guys that are like me. Things what doctor is saying.
That's true.
So
I
yeah,
agree.
we don't know what they're saying. So bottom line is just, so you take this prescription. Okay, go to the this thing and pick it up. Otherwise, you Google it, get some idea. You're, yeah, and yeah. So we no clarity whatsoever. So absolutely, I wish we spend a little bit of time on that, but maybe next
Yep.
time.
No,
Thank you
absolutely.
very much. I really appreciate this. Very useful. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
taking time. I know you're a very busy man, and I really appreciate and
Absolutely.
look forward to meeting you very soon.
Absolutely. Indeed a pleasure. I hope people get something out of it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.